On tonight's program, we are going to have a brutally honest discussion here, and I'm not going to mince any words. We're going to talk about how women lie. Ladies, tonight's program is going to be focused on how women lie, and I'm going to be offending a lot of people, but so be it. You know, I put up a post that asked a very simple question on Facebook, and I asked, ladies, would you rather have a man who got you a wedding ring and never bought you a Bentley, or would you rather have a man who bought you a Bentley and never got you a wedding ring? So it's very simple there. The pinnacle of what a man offers you. Would you be okay with having a man giving you his undying commitment, or would you have that is what bonds the two of you together? Or would you rather have a man who gives you his undying productivity and resourcefulness, and that's what bonds you together? And I gotta tell you, most of the women who responded, they responded by saying that they would prefer to have the ring. And I want to say, every single one of you who said that, you are all lying. And it is exactly this type of blatant, shameless deceit, this type of shameless dishonesty that makes men completely untrustworthy of females today. I want to show you some of what we saw here. On Facebook, as you can see, I was on my page there, and I asked them, hey, if you had a man who never gave you a wedding ring, but gave you a Bentley, or a man who gave you a Bentley and never gave you a wedding ring, which one would you choose? Which one would you prefer? And explain why. First one there, and I'm showing the people because my Facebook page is publicly available. So, first response said, wedding ring at our wedding. No, take a look. Folks like that. Next up was Eve. She said a Bentley, because there's a maintenance expense attached, showing his status versus a one-time expense. Next was Ciara. I like Ciara. I like Ciara personally. She said a wedding ring, never a Bentley. Next person said wedding ring, reasons, our legacy, our child, my protection, etc. We don't need a Bentley to say we got Bentley money. Next one is, I'm not that into Bentley's honesty. Too much money for a car, in my opinion. Would the car be in my name so that I can sell it? LOL. I take the ring. Does that come with marriage? So she's asking a bunch of questions, which means just understand something. When a person asks a bunch of questions, that's your first clue. They don't actually have a strategy or a plan. Even if you gave them what they think they want, they wouldn't know what to do with it. Just being brutally honest. Next here, I am Renee, and I like Renee. Renee knows I like her. She said, does the Bentley come with a proposal and wedding in lieu of the ring? We don't need no stinking Bentley when we could get a Rolls. Next up, the next person said, I got a $20 wedding ring on now. I'll take the Bentley. I don't care for jewels, though. Next is Marie. You know Marie. What year, make, and model of the Bentley? She's like, don't sit up here and bend my ear with talk. Go ahead and just let's get straight to the key fob. All right. Next said, wedding ring. It signals a commitment and continuous resources. A Bentley does not. This is the lie. I want to stop right here with that one, because that comment was the crux of the type of lying and deceit that is so common today. She sat there and was telling you, oh, I want the wedding ring, and then tells you because the wedding ring is tied to resources. But the wedding ring is indicative of resources, but the Bentley isn't. That is just straight up dishonest. You're telling the man, I want the wedding ring. But in reality, you're saying, I only want the wedding ring's only valuable if it has resources. Oh, I'm assuming the wedding ring that the resources are a given. And that is dishonest. The question was plain, but I want you to understand this is the type of dishonesty that they routinely traffic in. And then they try to make the argument that the wedding ring is more valuable than the Bentley. The wedding ring is more indicative of resources than the Bentley. No, what you're doing is virtue signaling. They're trying to virtue signal to try to communicate to the men. Just understand, these responses are not what they truly think. These responses are specifically for male consumption so that these females can pass themselves off as something, quote unquote, more noble than they actually are. And this is the reason why relationships today cannot work. Generally speaking, they can't work because people will not be honest about what it is they actually want. And you have a stream of females on my Facebook page sitting up here lying, saying that they want a wedding ring when in reality they really want resources. They will not be honest about what it is they really want as a group. There were a few outliers, but that was it. That was it. That was all. A few outliers, but that was it. Next up is Nicole Michelle. And you all know I've known Nicole for a while. Nicole said, the ring represents our commitment to one another, our bond. It can also be passed down. A Bentley is just an automobile. No, she seriously said that. A Bentley is just an automobile. Telling a man she prefers a car over his ring says a lot about how she feels for him. She can buy her own car, but she can't give herself a wedding ring. Folks, if you wonder why it is that I tell people that your female online coaches and whatnot, I don't really recommend it, is because they have a lot to learn in that regard. No offense, but this comment right here, this illustrates why I tell you females cannot really take reliable advice from other females. They just can't. They just can't. It's all cap. And you all know I don't even use that terminology. It's all cap. That's all this is. This is all cap. The next person up said, if a man is offering me a ring or a Bentley, I'd take the Bentley. Okay, well, kind of got her head screwed on correctly there. The next person said, a ring. A ring represents way more provision, security, leadership, and part of that provision could be a luxury vehicle. A ring represents family. In my opinion, definitely more valuable than an expensive whip. A healthy marriage is top-tier personal development rather than a top-tier ride. Once again, more dishonest conflation. Once again, that was a absolutely dishonest statement. A ring represents. Notice they keep tying the ring back to the resources. They refuse. Some say they want the ring, but they don't want it if it's not directly tied to the resources. But they're trying to make you seem like they're more noble and honorable than they are by saying, oh, I'm not after your resources. I'm after you as a person. I love you personally. A healthy marriage is top tier personal development. Knowing full well that she is only invoking this if it is tied directly to resources. I need y'all to hit my likes for me tonight. Everybody listening, this is going to be a hated on program. I need y'all to hold it down for me and hit my likes for me and share this, because this is not a joke. This is not a joke. She's sitting here and telling you that the ring represents more than provision, and that provision will be a given. And there's a numerical reason why that's an outright lie. The next person said, I would much rather have my ring. The fact that my husband took the time to pick out something so special symbolizes his deep love for me. A Bentley is a beautiful car, but it holds no value. So for all the females out there who are listening, and by the way, mostly these are older females in their 30s and 40s. If you younger chicks want to know why it is that most of the males who come up to y'all are sitting up here coming to you with broke nigga babble, if you want to know the real reason why that occurs, if you want to know why it is they bring you their excuses for not performing, it's these old females. These old chicks in their 30s sitting here telling bald-faced lies. This is why these younger dudes, and this is why the males you meet don't see any reason to perform. These old women keep these young women losing. These are older women getting online telling you, oh, no. Well, I would rather have a man's ring than a man's financial performance. I would rather have a man's, quote, commitment rather than his financial performance. Yes, and for them to say a Bentley holds no value shows that they know absolutely nothing about cars. But it doesn't even matter about that. They're virtue signaling because they want you to think of them as something different than they are. And then once they get with you, here comes the bait and switch. One more person said Bentley-ish. Next person said, I prefer to be married, so a ring. I'm not very materialistic, and I don't care about cars. A car isn't an asset. It isn't something you could pass down for generations. I would prefer the man I'm with to acquire assets that would secure our future descendants' future, not splurge his money on temporary luxuries. Plus, if he gives me a ring, that means he's serious about making me his. Did you hear that? She said that if a man gives her a ring, then that means he's serious about making her his. So what she's telling you is that she values a gesture that the man wishes to possess you, but that she values that token gesture more than actual concrete benefits and provision handed to you. Now I want you to think that over for a few moments. She's telling you she values that more. The Bentley represents his ability to financially perform, to provide. That is the end product. They're telling you, nope, let me just get the ring. How many fellas actually believe this? How many of the men listening right now actually believe this? If you're a man who actually believes this, to the fellas who are doubting it, I want you to put a thumbs down emoji in the chat room. If you're a fellow who doesn't believe what you're hearing here and you think that this is all posturing, hit the thumbs down in the chat room and hit the likes if you're liking what you hear on tonight's program. The next person said they'll take the Bentley. As you can see, the folk taking the Bentley are grossly outnumbered. Grossly outnumbered. The next woman said, I'll take the ring. Bentley upkeep is too much. If the man can get the Bentley, he can afford the maintenance. So these women are saying that the ring would represent to them that he's claiming you, but that this Bentley would not represent that. I want you to understand how screwed up the minds are of most of these females today. Yes, I'm being brutally frank with the language right now. I want you to understand how screwed up the mindsets are right now. That the ring without provisions represents security. Delivering the actual tangible benefits, they don't put any value into that. Or at least that's the story that they're claiming. That's the version of the events that they're claiming. At least that's what they claim. The next person here said they'll take the Bentley. We can be married without the ring. That one wasn't nearly as popular. My girl Taisha said, I'll accept a Bentley and never a wedding ring. The wedding ring has symbolic value that's objective, while the Bentley can be appraised and given a real valuation. If any fellas out there are looking for a chick that might be worth your money, if you're looking for a single mom who might be worth reforming, might want to give Taisha a call. She might have learned her lesson. She been out here in the streets a little bit. She might have learned her lesson, though. Starting to sound like she picked up some sense. Next up, Alexandra. Look at you females taking a car over a husband. Complete foolery and buffoonery. Now, this light-skinned marsupial, I try to be, as delicate as I can, but just case in point here. This is how young females get led astray, and then they start showing you early they ain't got no sense. No, and in her case, this is absolute cap. This is absolute fraudulence in her case. She knows better. She knows that I know better. But she's publicly representing herself as if she believes something other than what she knows that I know. I know that's not what she really thinks. I know it isn't. And she knows that I know it isn't, but she came here and misrepresented what she truly thinks anyway. And that's all you're getting here. The next person said, wedding ring, because it is a symbol of the marriage covenant. Cars never have moved me to the point that I would prefer it over a wedding ring. Here's the problem. You didn't create the practice of a wedding ring representing a marriage anyway. You didn't create that practice, so you can't say that that ring has that value to you because you didn't create that as a practice. That was a practice that you found when you got here. Who's to say that they're not superior options? The next person, Lena. Sometimes I think we gotta waste a cute around here. Lena said a wedding ring because he could buy me a car, leave tomorrow, and still never trust me to carry his name well and represent him. A vehicle, as fabulous as it may be, is a short-term pleasure that depreciates in value. She's from the UK. She don't know nothing about cars. As soon as you drive it off the lot. Marriage is what respectable societies are built on. We've seen what happens to communities that value expensive trinkets over family building. No, we don't. Tell us. Rick Ross bragged that his woman's whip cost $100,000 at one point, and I'm sure he could afford to do it again, but where is she now? First of all, you said Rick Ross. Second of all, she'd come back in a minute. Phoenix said, I've been married before, so maybe I'm biased, but I think I'd take the Bentley. And then Demi said she'll take the Bentley. But the majority of the women said they'll take the ring. And I want you all to be aware that it is precisely this type of congenital dishonesty that makes men not trust women today when they speak. Because you know damn well that this is not what you truly believe. You know that you don't actually believe this, but you're saying it publicly anyway. Let me tell you why this is all lying. But did you all really need me to tell you that? Let me tell you why this is all lying. The reason why it's all lying is simple math and statistics. Who initiates 80% of the divorces? Women. And what is the number one reason that divorces are filed? Financial. Not love, not adultery, not commitment. 80% of your divorces are filed by females, and the majority of the time, the females are filing divorce because of finances, because of money. And these females just sat here and told you that they want a man, that their chief concern is something other than money, other than his ability to financially provide, that there's something else. This is the con job that gets pulled over all the time. This is the con job that gets played all the time. Young females regurgitating what the older females have told them, carrying on this deception. Who initiates 80% of the divorces? Women. What's the number one reason that these women file for divorce? Financial. Do poor people or affluent people get divorced more? Answer, poor people. So let's put this together. So women file for divorce based on finances. So when you say commitment, understand that no matter what women might tell you, their actions, not their words, not their posts on Facebook, their actions tell you that they count commitment in dollars, not symbolic trinkets. They will represent themselves to you this way for the purposes of appearing respectable. What they want to say is respectable here, so to avoid charges of being a gold digger. But in their actions, fellas, what is it that you have actually experienced? What have you actually experienced? I'm not going to play with you about this. Let me go ahead and just lay down the law for you here. This is what I meant when I said that women lie. This is exactly what I was referring to when I said that women lie. They will stand in front of men. They will stand in front of us as a group. They will stand in front of us as a crowd, look us square in the eye, and tell bald-faced lies to us. You are sitting right here, right now, defying everything that you know the men are aware of, telling bald-faced lies, knowing that it's not true. And instead of just leveling and saying this is what it's going to be, they're instead trying to send you some honorable misrepresentation. And that's what you end up with. Some honorable misrepresentation. And why? Why? Because they are attempting to mimic what they think the older females they're trying to get respect from think, not the men that they actually claim they want protection and provision from. That's the problem. I said something a few weeks ago, and the reason I'm having this program here tonight is because I'm going to lay it all the way down for you all here tonight. I told you, you know what in the world is more important than the wedding ring? A key fob. Do you know what is more, it was a better token of a man's commitment to you than a wedding ring? A key fob. First of all, let's take a look at the plain and simple facts. How much does a wedding ring cost? A wedding ring can cost anything from $20 to $20,000. How much does a Mercedes cost? How much does a Bentley cost? With these folks talking about which one is more of a commitment, do you know how far into debt? Do you know how far into commitment a man's gotta be to sit up here and bring you one of those and drop it at your damn feet? Do you know how far committed he has to be? He's demonstrating through his actions. I've already brought that to you. Let me tell you something right now. You know the reason why most black females are single today is because most of you could never get a dowry. I guess it doesn't really matter that most of you haven't had fathers, because most of you, even if you did, your father couldn't get a dowry for you because you don't appreciate it. So it used to be that we required a man to deliver a dowry, and a dowry is just a way of saying, show us what you've already been able to produce. Bring us a sample of what you've already been able to produce before we hand our daughter off to you. That's what it used to be. Now you got females saying, I want to get married. Don't worry about no dowry. You don't have to produce anything, knowing full damn well it's a lie. But by the way, your fathers couldn't get a dowry for you today because you're all saying it doesn't matter. And then as soon as the man doesn't perform, as soon as he doesn't do that because you got all these unspoken lies that you haven't said to him, and as soon as he doesn't actually meet the standard of these unspoken assumptions you've made, then you're going to punish him. Because you're damn sure going to punish him if he doesn't meet that standard. That's what you're going to do. That's what you're going to do. They lie when they say that. They lie when they say that. And these women are trying to tell us all that they're trying to tell men that we were wrong when we said that women lie about accepting the average guy. No, they don't. No, they don't. Let's be very, very clear. Women count commitment in dollars. They count commitment in tangible benefits. The only reason she accepted your ring is because she assumes that there will be tangible benefits to follow. No woman would ever marry a guy who says, the most I'm going to do for you is give you a ring in my name. And that was what the question asked. Would you rather have his ring and never a Bentley representing financial rewards and his ability to produce at a high level? Would you rather have a man who produces at a high level and that he presents his ability to produce as his connection to you? Or would you rather have the ring and abandon his level to perform at a high level, his ability to perform at a high level? And what they did was they delivered a bunch of dishonesty. I'd like to tell you that it was better on my Patreon, but it wasn't. I would like to tell you that they were more honest over there, but they weren't, with a few notable exceptions. I'd like to tell you that even on my Patreon it was different, but it wasn't. It wasn't. They sat there the entire time and said these things knowing it's not true, knowing it's not right, knowing that they're not being honest, but they said it anyway. With only a few notable exceptions, they still said it. This is on my Patreon now. This is on my Patreon. This is on my Patreon. After they have talked to guys, you've been with fellas, y'all have sat up here and broken up whole relationships, broken up whole families because of finances, but you're coming back to the world saying that that's not important to you. When you know that that is the most important thing, that is what sways you, that is what moves you. Let's just cut past the bull crap here for a few moments, people. Fellas, you know the ladies love to talk about their G-Wagons. They love the G-Wagon. They damn sure do. They love the G-Wagon. But let me tell you something. When a woman tells you that she wants a G-Wagon, she ain't fantasizing. She actually means it. And every man listening to me right now knows that's the damn truth. When a woman tells you about her fantasy car, or she tells you about something like a G-Wagon, oh, she meant that. Oh, she meant that. When she told you she wants to have a G-Wagon, she meant, I want to have a G-Wagon. Yeah, I know. $150,000 can go all the way up to $300,000. Yeah. I really do mean that. Just as much as you fellas, when y'all take a look at some of these chicks, you take a look at some of these females out there on Instagram and whatnot, yeah, just like you mean that. You might sit up here and tell them one thing, but just like you mean it when you say, boy, if I had a chick like that right there, I would take her right this moment. Yeah, just like you mean it, just like that, and you're dead serious when you say that. Your female knows full damn well if you had the chance to be with one of them chicks on Instagram, you would get up and walk away from her at the table at Olive Garden. You would get up and walk right out. Yeah, you're deadly serious when you say that. Well, guess what, fellas? The women are just as serious when they tell you they want a G-Wagon. She ain't playing. She might be sitting there giggling. She ain't joking. She'll sleep with your coworker. She'll sleep with the fella across the street. If you can't deliver it and that fella can, that's the definition of temptation. Because women have very active fantasy lives, but the truth is they don't want to fantasize. They have very active fantasy lives, but they don't really want to fantasize. When she says she wants a G-Wagon, she actually means that. She's dead ass serious. She doesn't care what it costs. She doesn't care how it hurts you. She doesn't care how much work it puts on you, how much pressure it puts on you, how much of a burden it is. She doesn't care about that. When she meant what she said. And you would be a fool if you tell yourself that she's going to let that go. No, she's not. I want to know how many fellas are listening to me right now and your female has told you something like that she wants something like a G-Wagon, and you set up and you're telling yourself right now she doesn't really mean that. Are y'all sharing this program right now? How many of you fellas are listening to me right now? Your female has told you something like that. She wants an S-Class. She wants a BMW. She wants an Audi R8. She wants a G-Wagon. And you heard her say that and you think she's joking. How many of you fellas think that? How many of you think she's not really serious about that? There's a reason why these women keep invoking the name of Russell Wilson as their dream man, because Russell Wilson is a metaphor. When they say Russell Wilson, what they really mean is a sucker I can take advantage of and he'll stay. But bottom line is they wouldn't take his lame ass if he didn't have the resources. That is it. The biggest lie that women tell men today is, I don't care how much money you make. That is the single biggest lie that they are parading and bandying around today. That is the biggest lie in the world. And the older a woman gets, the more your money matters to her, especially if she doesn't have any financial cushion of her own. Let me go ahead and get all off up into this right now. Forget the bull jive. Ladies, you can sit up here and dream about these things all you want to, especially for those of you who are in your 30s or whatnot. But most of you are screwed off. Most of you do not have any type of retirement to speak of. You are not in any way ready. You are not ready. So when you tell men that you would prefer to have a wedding ring over his ability to produce at a high level, most of you are just flat out damn me lying. And I can go ahead and if you go over the numbers and review your own finances, you realize that's not true. Let's just say that you're a female at the age of 38 or 40. Let's just say you're one of those. You're sitting up here talking about that. How much do you want to be making here? Now, ladies, the median income in the United States of America is $50,000 a year. $50,000 a year. That's the median income right now. Not adjusted for inflation, standard of living, not taking into account where you live. $50,000 a year. How many of you are making $50,000 a year at your job right now? Most of you are, or making less. Some of you are making a little bit more. Well, for you to be able to retire, you would need to have $1 million in retirement. And let's just say you had a certified financial planner or whatever to manage it for you at 5% interest, which depending on what the stock market is doing at the time, that could be very generous. But at 5% interest, let's just say you can get 5% interest consistently. You would need to have $1 million to be able to get that 5% interest every year so that it doesn't deplete the $1 million that the appreciation is coming from. You would need to have $1 million to be able to make $50,000 a year without depleting the $1 million. This is math. This is not Jason Black's opinion. This is mathematics. But let's just say that you're a female who, I got some college degrees and I got to live at a certain level and I like to go to the damn beach and I like to be at bougie hotels and overspend my whole damn life. Okay, fine. And you are making $100,000 a year. And I'm being real damn generous because over 90% of you do not do that. Hell, 95% of you don't make $100,000 a year. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and count your man's damn money with you. I'm going to count the standard of living that you're accustomed to there. Okay, perfectly fine. For $100,000 a year, you would have to have $2 million. You would have to have $2 million. In the chat room, when you talk about compound interest, folks like to bandy that, but there's a problem with that idea of when folks try to bring in compounding interest as if that somehow makes up the shortfall, because the bottom line is if compounding interest works as well as people try to say it does, then the 401k would be a singular retirement vehicle for people, and it's not. The 401k doesn't work. The Roth IRA doesn't work. Those things don't work unless you put a great big huge lump of money into it. You can't put in $400,000 and think compounding interest is going to save you. That's not going to work. It's not gonna work. And the fact that you have so many people today who cannot afford to retire, that's the proof it doesn't work. So folks, stop it. Go watch PBS's The End of Retirement. The retirement gamble. Just stop it. This isn't opinion, this is math. But let's just say you're a female who wants to continue living in a six-figure a year lifestyle. You're gonna need these $2 million a year at 5% interest. But wait. Didn't Jason Black sit up here and tell you all that you really need to have between $3 to $5 million? Susie Orman said $2 million and I said $3 to $5 million, and then my copycats on the internet started copying me when I said that. Well, Jason, why is it you said that? Well, my copycats never told you all why that is. But the reason why it is because here's the dirty little secret. If you are depending on a retirement vehicle that is invested in the stock market. Remember, the stock market fluctuates wildly. Hell, we just had a crash 2 years ago. That was not a stock market correction. That was an outright crash. The stock market lost over 50% of its value overnight. And it is still recovering. It has not recovered yet. It is still only recovering. 2 years later. So what that means is that if you had $1 million worth of investment or $2 million worth of investment, that $2 million dropped to $1 million, and that $1 million dropped to $500,000. So the stock market does this unfortunately, on a regular basis. It goes up, it goes down. Even if you have an index fund, it goes up, it goes down. You will not have a consistent rate of return. Some years you're up, some years you're down. Any certified financial planner is going to tell you that. As part of anybody who has a fiduciary responsibility is going to tell you that. The first thing they're going to tell you is, by the way, it goes up, it goes down. You will not experience 5% rate of return or 7% rate of return consistently. You won't get that. Some years you will have a negative rate of return. You will lose money. But over the 20-year average, that's what you can get. So just understand, in a situation where you have market corrections or a market drop, let's just say you want to have $100,000 a year and you want to make sure you have protection against a 50% market drop. You better put in $4 million. You better have $4 million so that even if the market falls by 50%, your lifestyle is not going to have to change. What you've been betting on and counting on isn't going to have to alter. Now, if you're a female in your late 30s or your 40s, go take a look at your damn bank account. Go take a look at your retirement account. Go and take a look at your 401k. It's time to have a come to Jason moment. You can talk big on the internet. You can sit up here and talk crap in front of a bunch of other people about some stuff you can't actually do. But at the end of the day, most of you black women are the poorest people in America. Black women are the poorest people in America, and it is precisely this type of shallow, single-minded thinking and public dishonesty that keeps them there. If I may be brutally frank with you, sisters, this type of blatant dishonesty is what keeps you there. Because you will not be honest about what it is you actually need, and you try to talk around it for the sake of appearances, rather than getting right to the damn point. Instead of coming straight out and saying, this is what I need, it's like, well, let me see if I can finesse him into it. Damn finessing, come straight up the middle so that it is clear what everybody is bringing to the table. So that it is certain what everybody is bringing, so that nobody has to sit up here and guess about it. That's the damn problem. We don't need no damn guesswork. You need to make it clear what you need and appreciate it. And then he makes it clear what he needs, and then you appreciate that. So when both of you are bringing to the table what you are supposed to be bringing, then everybody gets what they were expecting there. And let's be very, very clear. Ladies, the reason why you want that is because a man doesn't keep track of receipts when he's happy. When a man is happy, he don't count receipts. When a man's happy, he doesn't count receipts, people. I'm not guessing through this. I'm not making it up. When a man is happy, he doesn't count receipts. He's not checking his credit card statements. When he's happy with you, he ain't checking nothing. They have a bunch of females right now sitting up here grumbling under their breath, talking about why I got to keep him happy. This is why you're screwed up right now. You and your mama, you're sitting up here going to spend the rest of your life. Your grandmama is dying alone. Your mama is dying alone. And you've been sitting up here making friends with them. And now you're on the road to dying alone yourself. And it would help you all if Kitten Heels would put this into proper perspective when he says that. It is not enough to use those words and to not put it in its proper context and its proper perspective. The reason why is when you are in outright denial of reality, people are going to abandon you. When people abandon you, you will be on your damn own. But let's be clear, a man's not going to abandon you if he's happy. If he's happy, you don't have to fight for resources. You don't have to fight to get him to perform. Do you want to spend the rest of your damn life window shopping, or do you want to have it? The women want to have it, but they want to sit here and lie about it. That's the damn problem. Jordan Woods, her boyfriend, went off and bought her a $100-something thousand Porsche. Sat up here and bought that. Take a look at the smile on the damn face. That's a woman saying she winning. And by the way, that's just the first Instagram post. Just in case you thought that was just for show, here she is in 2 other Instagram posts. Yeah, she putting miles on that Porsche, isn't she? I want to say that's the Taycan. That's not the Panamera. I want to say it's the Taycan. And she's already putting hella miles on it. She flossing, she's styling and profiling. She putting hella miles on it. You know what? Old boy ain't worried about it. He's not thinking about it. You know what? As long as he is happy, as long as he's satisfied, there is no burden. Nobody's calling you a gold digger when the man is happy. Gold digger is a word for somebody who is not keeping the man happy anymore. When the man is happy, there is no price limit on it. There is no upper price limit. When the man is happy, he gonna find a way. And this is what makes you all's dishonesty so damn beguiling here. Look it up. It makes it so damn criminal of you because you all know full damn well you are expecting the man that you are with, the man that you are with, yes, your coaches included, you're expecting the man that you're with to perform at a high level. You would not be with him if you did not assume, now there's going to be some high level benefits coming here, right? Yeah. And that's why 80% of you are sitting up, 80% of the divorces are filed by the females. They're expecting that. And they'll look you in the eye and tell you, no, I don't. Yeah, she does. Yes, she does. And she will not let that go. She will not let that go. When a man is happy, he doesn't count receipts. When a man is happy, he doesn't count receipts. The quality of the female and whatnot, if he's happy with the quality of the female, he doesn't count receipts. You might not be happy with it. As long as he's cool with it, he doesn't count receipts. And I have a bunch of females who set up here today and are telling you all that they would rather have a wedding ring, a symbol of his commitment to produce, than to actually have the concrete proof that he's producing. I want you to understand that. They don't want the bird in the hand or the damn bush. That's what I'm telling you. Ladies, okay, if I have to spell it out for you, it is better to have a key fob than a wedding ring. Because you can't keep a man from divorcing you. But Capital One can keep him from having a good credit score if he doesn't pay for that car. You can't force him to take care of his family, but Capital One can force him to pay for that car. So even if he's not committed to you, he's committed to the bank. Even if he's not committed to you, he's committed to the Volkswagen Corporation and Porsche. Even if he's not committed to you, he is committed to the Mercedes Corporation. And whatever bank he took out a loan with, and if he actually took out a loan, if he paid cash, well, Mercedes loves him. I'm giving grown-up talk right now. And what sickens me is that we don't get to have grown-up talk. We have a bunch of damn fantasy talk going on out here. If you want to know why it is that most of these females today end up with a Pookie or a Ray Ray, if y'all want to know why that keeps happening, the reason it keeps happening is because the females walk in the door dishonest. They will not just sit down and say, look here, here's what... They will not just say, this is what I got to have. They won't say that. They will not say that. They won't say, this is what I need to have and this is how it needs to be. Instead, what they will do is they will sit up here and feed you a line. I know I dropped the damn mic so hard, we got buzzing going on up in here. I ain't playing. I dropped the mic so hard, we got buzzing going on up in here. It's real tonight. It's real. Ladies, if anybody sat up here and told you that the wedding ring is more valuable than having a key fob in your hands, that heifer is lying to you. She is lying to you. That man can walk away from you. Can he walk away from the Bentley dealership as easily as he could walk away from you? No, he can't. If he goes, understand something. How much, I want you all to ask yourselves a question here. If you want to know why it is that most of you females' marriages will not be able to last and you're going to pick so poorly, how much did you even think through these answers? How much preparation does a man need to make in order to get a wedding, in order to get you a ring? How much preparation does it take for a man to get you a ring, ladies? How much preparation, how much planning, how much of his life does he have to dedicate in order to get that? Talk about faulty calculations. Ladies, for those of you talking about the wedding ring and the car depreciates, first thing is you didn't think this through. How much forethought, how much preparation did he need for that? If we're going to compare the two, how much preparation does he need in order to get you a wedding ring? How much does he need? How much did that take? Since nobody wants to be honest about this and say exactly what it is, how much did it take? Now, how much preparation does it take for him to get you a Rolls Royce? How much preparation, planning, how much commitment? How much commitment to you does he have to pursue going into this thing with BMW, who owns Rolls Royce, or with Volkswagen, who owns Bentley? How much preparation, how much commitment does that take? How much does it take for him to go into this? How much does it take for him to make that decision? Because understand something, when he signs the paperwork, they're like, it doesn't matter what happens between you and that female, you are tied to this. So it better be a good choice for you, because it's going to be a good choice for us one way or the other. Gonna be a good choice for us. While the females are out here telling you that it's the wedding ring. The females are telling you it's the wedding ring that gets it. The females are telling you that it's the wedding ring that they're worried about here, that's what proves the real commitment. Meanwhile, the average length, I want you all to understand something. The average length of marriage in America today, the average length of time that a marriage in America today lasts is 8.5 years. The average length of the American marriage today is 8.5 years. 8.5 years. For the females who are talking about, oh, the car depreciates in value, the man, oh, it's going to be there. You might be married 8.5 years. The Bentley will still be in remarkable shape in 8 years. I don't know if you'll still have a husband, but the Bentley will be there. And I want you all to think about that for a few moments. These are the folks sitting up here claiming to you that they have the calculations and they know the math and they got it well in hand, and the ring. In other words, I want you all to think about this. If the man takes out, and this is completely doable. Let's just say that he takes out a 7-year car note. He's making the commitment to the car is going to last as long as the damn marriage. Now, if he's one of these people who takes out a 10-year note, and they do have 10-year notes for exotics, although now they're getting 10-year notes for regular cars, but if he takes out a 10-year note on that Bentley, you do realize that that car will probably last longer than your marriage will. For if nobody has ever gone over the literal numbers and the literal math with you, that car will last longer than he's going to be paying for that car longer than he'll be with you. That car is likely going to outlast the marriage. And meanwhile, the females are over here telling you, bet on the ring, not the car. Let's be very, very clear about something. The man's going to have to stick with you if he goes off and does something like that. He's going to have to stick with you. He'll have to. And as long as he is happy with you, this is going to be the first of many. But let's be very, very clear. Y'all are making assumptions about this. And what I realize, and I just got to be totally honest with you here, folks, what you have to come to realize is a lot of chicks today are just so dishonest that they become suicidal in their dishonesty. They really, really have. They really, really have. Because I want to tell you what the real problem that they have is. The real problem is they don't actually want to submit to the man. They don't actually want to do that. So they're trying to figure out some way to finagle or try to otherwise cheat him out of something. Rather than just going straight up from the middle and saying, okay, this is what it is. This is what I got to do. This is what you got to do. And then we make the damn thing work. But this type of dishonesty, I want every man listening to me, just understand something now. If your female is running around telling you that this is the way it is, and like this is going to be okay, just understand, okay, you're going to be married to the game. You're going to be married to the game. Literally. Literally. Let's be very, very clear about a couple of things here, folks. Women have very active fantasy lives. And what we need today are people who will backhand you with the truth and tell you, baby, you are not as fly as you tell yourself. You know what it is you actually want in a man, and that throwed off little dude you with, that's the best you can do. Stop kidding yourself. You better hold on to him. You're too messed up for the kind of man you fantasize about being with, and count yourself lucky and leave the damn casino. Get the hell out of there. Because that's where most of you are going to be in this case, especially with this level of dishonesty. No, you're not going to believe the man who gives you the ring. You can sit up here and say whatever the hell you want to on Facebook. You're not going to believe the man who gives you the ring. You're going to believe the man who brings you the resources. That's what you're going to believe. And that's why I'm telling you the key fob is the new wedding ring. The key fob shuts up all the talk. He can give you a ring and the woman can still dispute what he's going to be able to do next. He can give you the ring and the woman still disputes what you're going to do next. When the man sits up here and throws the key fob in your lap, the talking is over. And what the females are really afraid of, which is what they expressed repeatedly over and over again, what they were talking about, what they're really afraid of is, well, he could take the car somewhere else. Let's be very, very clear. Poor people get divorced much more than affluent people do. That's the first thing. The second thing is, no man buys a vehicle. No man goes off and makes a big investment for a woman with the intention of removing it. 80% of your divorces are initiated by the females. It's not the men who remove the resources. 80% of your divorces are initiated by females. It is not the men who remove the resources. It is the women who remove themselves. Because you're screwed off, you got emotional issues, you need therapy, you need medication, you need lithium, you need to get away from your damn kinfolk, whatever the case may be. But it is not the men who pull the resources, it is the women who pull themselves. It's the women who pull themselves. And just be aware, any of them telling you otherwise, they'll sit there and run their mouths, but just all the fellas in here know full damn well if you pull up to her in one of them cars, the same females in the chat room talking about, no, they wouldn't. She gonna be the first one who would. Nobody trusts her not to do so. You know why? Because when you lie, that's the way it is. I want to ask a basic question here tonight. Ladies, why will you not let people be honest with you? Why will you not let men be honest with you? Why will you not be honest with yourself and just admit that this is what it is? Why is it you will not just be honest and pay the price? Why is it that you will not just be straight up and say what it is and then go ahead and go from there? Why is it that deceit, maybe it's because of the way you were raised, maybe it's because of the environment, maybe it's because of your parents, maybe it's because of your schooling, I don't know, but why is it you won't just go ahead and let folk be honest with you? Because most of you are miserable. Only a little over a quarter of you are going to get married anyway, but the majority of you are miserable. You know why? Because you were not honest with the man when you met him about what you expected. You were not honest about what you expected, and you were not honest about what you needed to do to motivate him to do that. So you're trying to get over on him, and all you really attract is somebody who's going to get over on you. What you need is somebody who's going to be a grown-ass man and is going to be like, okay, as grown people, this is what it's going to be. Understand something. The grown man don't play about these things. The grown man is real about it. He approaches you with his accomplishments, not with his talk, not with symbolic gestures. When a female tells you that she values symbolic gestures over tangibles, she's lying, stupid, or both. And there's a whole bunch of females right now, you are miserable. You are miserable as hell because you have refused to come under some management and you have refused to come out of your dishonesty there. And you're listening to me tonight right now, you are frazzled, you are wore out, you're putting kids to bed, you're all kinds of screwed up, and they wasn't supposed to go like this. Things were supposed to go a lot easier at this point. Apparently, they were supposed to go a lot easier. And it isn't. And so you are getting up every day in this meat grinder that is turning you into powder, holding on to your dishonesty, but that's not going to make the bills go away, and that's not going to make the difficulties go away. And it is not going to make your desire to have a better life go away either. And the bottom line is females want a better life and they want a man to provide it. They don't want to have to go get it for themselves. They want a man to bring it to them. That is just too much damn work. So you get up and sit out here and whatnot, and you're running around in your Honda CRV, and your man was good enough to be able to put you in a brand new Range Rover or that Navigator Black Label with the white Corinthian leather and the executive second row console, and then when you had a choice between staying in the Range Rover or jumping back in the CRV, you still made the wrong choice. I want to know who's coaching these people. I want to know who's coaching them. An active fantasy life is not going to stop that from happening. When you've got a character defect that hangs off of you like that, just understand that's a badass problem. That's a suicidal tendency. And let's be very, very clear. If you have not achieved what you see on this screen right now, you can dream about G-Wagons. You can dream about retirement. You just can't get there. You can dream about all this you want to. You just can't get there. You're going to sit up here, you're going to try to pay off a house, you're going to spend most of your life attempting to try to do that. If you made it to your 30s and you didn't already get started on that, well, you won't have the house at least. But then again, most of you are not going to be able to afford that to begin with. Or if you do get the house, that will be all you're going to be able to do because the entirety of your income is going to be tied up in paying for that. Dealing with your childhood neuroses is very expensive. Dealing with childhood neuroses is very expensive. That's an extremely expensive proposition. And there are rules to this thing. Your priority is not supposed to be finding somebody who sits up here and plays along with your anxieties and your neuroses and your narcissism. Your priority is supposed to be to get a producer. That's supposed to be the priority. And you're not supposed to take his word for it. He's supposed to present you with his accomplishments. And it doesn't matter what the hell the rest of the world has to say about that. There was one stupid whacked out broad I knew once who said that her aunt was with a man that people just couldn't figure out. Oh, he was all this kind of bad this and bad that and whatnot. And they were like, why in the world are you still with him? She's like, I'm old. I'm diabetic. I don't have a retirement. Who's going to take me? He's the man who will actually stay. He's the man who will actually take me. Ladies, you need to start asking yourselves, who's going to produce? You sit there and fall for a head fake. Who's going to actually produce for you? Because it ain't no damn joke as you get older. A man's commitment, you sit up here talking about rings, and I'm like, okay, that ring guarantees you what? Nothing. Because you are trying to infer all kinds of things that he never said. Or that you wish to believe. And the females talking about they can go get one for themselves. If you all don't sit your asses down. When was the last time you all saw a black woman who was driving a car that cost more than $80,000 that she paid for herself? All this running around with this bravado, talking about things you are not going to do. Ladies, you're not going to go get it for yourselves. You're not. It ain't happening. You're not going to get it for yourselves. You're not going to do it on your own. You will attempt it and you will die trying. But it's not going to happen. You can dream about it. You can fantasize about it. But practically, you can't do it. And it's not my opinion. It's math. And you can sit up here and say, well, the low-hanging fruit, if I get a ring, that'll guarantee me the rest. That's an intellectual masturbation that you're playing on yourself. The key fob is the new wedding ring. Because you need to understand what that key fob represents to the man. That ring represents something to you. And as men, we're not really sure what you think that ring represents. But we do know one damn thing. That car, our accomplishments, that car, that house, that suburb that you're in, that credit card, that's our commitment to you. That's what binds us to you. That is the proof that we are invested in you. Talk about lack of complete sense, not just financial sense, but complete sense. These females will sit up here and tell you the $500 wedding ring is a bigger proof of commitment than a car or a house. Knowing full well that they are lying to the world when they say that. Knowing full damn well they're lying to the world. And a bunch of you are going to be listening to me right now. You'll be listening to this in a few years from now, and it is going to be a hard-ass life for you. It is going to be a hard-ass life for you. That is all it's going to be. You are going to have a very difficult life at this point. Because talk is cheap. The world is getting more expensive. The dollar is becoming worth less. Global economic pandemonium. You are not going to be able to do this. And if you are not able to properly define what you need to have, that's going to be a problem. If you're not able to properly define what you actually need to have, you're not going to get there. Let's be very, very clear. If you can't actually properly define what you're supposed to have, you will never be able to get there. So it shouldn't be any surprise to anybody that most of you are not able to get there. No, they're sitting around lying to each other. And then you wonder why they're all screwed up. They can go online and have tons and tons of other females who will sit here and echo their disinformation, buck them up, cheer them on. They'll have therapists and mothers and grandmothers, aunts, sisters, co-workers sit up here and cheer them on into financial and emotional oblivion. And none of these people who claim to care about you so much are going to lift a finger to stop you. None of them. They will sit there and they will watch that and they will just be happy to have themselves a buddy in suffering. But what they won't be doing is saying, you know what, this is wrong, this is stupid, this is dumb. They won't be saying that. No, folks, if you really want to know what it comes down to, yes. You want to know what the new wedding ring is? You want to know what the new symbol of commitment is? Not symbols. That's your first clue. There are no symbols being accepted. You don't have time for that. You need to have concrete evidence, not symbols. And not symbolic gestures. And you need to have strength of character to be able to be worthy of that to begin with. But that's going to require a lot. Life is hard. It's even harder when you're stupid. Life is hard, but it's even harder when you're stupid.
Hello.
I'm going to go ahead and take a couple of phone calls here right now. Now, I've got a sister on the line who commented earlier here, and you said that you would rather have the ring.
Yes. Hi, good evening, Mr. Black. My name is Sunny. I'm from Jersey City, New Jersey.
Hello, Sunny from Jersey City, New Jersey. Now, Sunny, just so we can make sure about this right now, and no, you don't get to change your answer, but we're just going to go ahead and make sure we get you to reiterate on that. The question that I asked was, would you rather have a man who gives you a ring and never provided you with a Bentley or anything even close to that? Or would you rather have a man who could provide you with a Bentley but never a ring?
So, like I stated initially underneath your post, Mr. Black, I did choose the ring option opposed to the Bentley.
And why does that make sense to you?
So, essentially, like, I'm already married and I've already grown up with classic vehicles. So, I'm not necessarily a Bentley type of girl. I'm more of a Fox body type of girl. So, therefore, that would be something that I would be more interested in if that was presented to me.
Okay. You do understand the Bentley is a metaphor just like the ring is. Because there are different types of wedding rings. There's a $500 one or a $5,000 one. However, what we're really saying here is that the Bentley is something you have to work for. You can get a ring at Walmart. The Bentley is something you have to work for. The ring is symbolic. The car is literal.
Understandable.
So why would you value something symbolic over something literal?
I don't want to be like long-winded, but essentially because of the way that I've been grown and the way that I was raised with the provider already. So therefore I've had certain tangible things that maybe other young women in the Black community have not necessarily had access to. So when I read your question, I read it in the form of, would you prefer the ring or would you prefer the vehicle? For me personally, that's why I had stated that I would prefer the ring because I've already had access to things of those natures.
Okay. Let me find out here then. How old are you?
I'm 27, sir.
Okay, you're 27 and you're from Jersey.
Yes.
Okay. I've already had things like that. What was the most expensive car your parents owned?
Oh, well, since you asked, we actually are, well, my father is a collector of classic cars. So the first vehicle that I was presented was a '03 Jaguar S-Type as my first vehicle that I had. We have a 72 Buick Skylark. We have a 2000 Corvette. We have the '04 Lexus 430 just as well. So those are among the vehicles that we own.
Okay. Let me make sure about a couple of things here. You said you're 27?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that '04 Lexus, what year did your father buy that?
I believe he bought it maybe when I was probably like the 4th, 5th grade. So it's pretty old.
Okay.
But that's something that we had.
Yeah, there's my point. You're not very familiar with what a Bentley is, are you?
I can't honestly say, like, I have seen what it is, but that's not something that I'm actually well versed in. So I
Okay.
can't say so.
Long story short, you're going to pay about $300,000.
Okay.
And for some reason, I just heard everything you just named. Not a single one of those vehicles comes anywhere close to that. When they were all of them new, if you combined them all, then you would come close to the value of that Bentley.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think you would exceed it, but you would come close to the value of it.
Okay.
So I'm very glad, especially in that part of the world, having a car up there is probably a little bit better than it is in New York City, which is a city that walks as opposed to drives. Okay, got it. But what I am saying is that, especially I'm not talking about a used Bentley either. I'm talking about new. So do you understand? Let's just say, for example, right now, what kind of car do you drive now?
So I have the option of either driving my 5-speed Toyota RAV4 or my 6-speed Nissan Spec V.
Okay. The RAV4 is a good mom mobile, so can't say anything about that. RAV4 is a decent mom mobile. You get great gas mileage on it. That Nissan, now you said you drive a Nissan Spec V?
Yes, the 6-speed.
Okay. I noticed you said, now you do know I was a former car dealer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I noticed you said Nissan Spec V. Nissan Spec V. Why didn't you just say Nissan Sentra?
Well, I just didn't call it a Sentra because that's not usually how I identify it. So if someone were to ask me, like, oh, what do you drive? Like, what do you have? I just call it a Spec V because that's what's on the back of it.
Okay. What year is it?
It's an 04.
Okay. So like I say, you have a Nissan an 04 Nissan Sentra. So, and I'm sure you get fantastic gas mileage all the way around. That is great. I think that's wonderful. But you do understand that isn't symbolic or indicative of performance.
Of the male. So the male performance is what you're stating.
Yes.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from on that. That's a different perspective.
Right, but here's the real thing. Do you consider that to be important?
As far as a man being able to produce and provide, absolutely. I do find that to be important.
Okay, let me try this one more time. A man being able to produce and provide at a high level.
Yes, that's important to me.
Okay. Now, up there in Jersey, what does Sonny consider to be producing at a high level? Give me the number.
So I would say a man that's making $70,000 plus.
Okay. So, in New Jersey now, you're one of the highest tax states in the union, has been now for well over 2 decades. And you're saying that $70,000 would be producing at a high level for you.
I would say to be 27 as an entry, I would say that would be a pretty high level because most of the gentlemen that I know are not even touching anything close to $50,000.
Okay. How much is the average house in your area?
It's funny you say that. Just looking at houses more recently. So depending on what county you live in, what I'm finding now is because it's mostly a seller's market, they've actually bumped it up more than what it actually needs to be. So for something that's rating at least, let's say it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, the inflation is crazy. So they're trying to put it at least for $350,000 and on up, depending on what county you live in.
Yeah, and that's not a well-to-do. I mean, that's going to be the bottom of the barrel right there.
Right.
That's not going to be. That's not going to be, in Trenton or anything like that. You start talking that, now we're talking $450,000, $500,000.
Well, so if you were to look towards like Trenton, that Camden area, the homes would be a bit cheaper. But if you were to go towards like Middlesex or Bergen County, you could simply like a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. They're running it at least $500,000.
Okay, let me explain what I mean, ma'am, because I'm not guessing my way through this. Anybody can go find the hood and get a cheap house if they want to. When I say a house, I am assuming that it's going to be a house where you want to raise your family in a neighborhood you want to raise your family in. Not just, oh, you can find a house for $300,000. You know, if you don't have any actual standards, you can find a house for $200,000. As far as one that you would be in good state of repair and doesn't immediately need to have a bunch of work on it, and you actually want to raise a family in, no, ma'am, that won't be happening. That's just not happening. Not in Trenton. Not in Camden. Middlesex, yeah. What she's trying to say is suburban, but the real issue here is you're not going to be able to do that on $70,000. There's the real point I want to make. You do realize you can't get there from here, right?
No, I wouldn't be able to do that alone, especially with a one-person income. It
Right.
would have to be a 2-income household.
Right. That's why the point I want to make is, by the way, you can't get there from here. $70,000, and what you said was that $70,000 is performing at a high level. That was what you said. $70,000 is performing at a high level, and you literally can't buy a house. $70,000 is performing at a high level. You might be able to get a car, but you're going to have to stretch to get a new one. So take care of the RAV. Take care of the RAV. And I bring that up to make a point about that, because you're 27. How many kids do you have?
0.
Okay, you don't have any children at all.
Not at all, sir.
Okay. I am assuming that you are an otherwise wonderful young lady, which is all great and everything. I will ask you one thing. I want to be delicate when I say this. I want to be delicate about this. How long have you been married?
I got married at the end of September.
Oh, you got married just last year.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you've been married for 5 months. Well, 4 months. But, congratulations. Might I ask how old the gentleman is?
We're the same age. He's 27 just as well.
You're 27, he's 27. Okay. And when you chose to marry him, what was the criterion you used?
So when I chose to marry him, I know this might sound probably a bit bad to say, but I grew up with a real dad, like a real father and real men in my life. So I didn't just let any random guy like enter my space or have me just date anybody. So I used those values and those qualities that I grew up with as basically a preface of the type of man that I wanted in my life. So that's how we got there.
Okay, so he's met your father?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm assuming he's an otherwise upstanding individual. He is 27 years old, so he's got a pretty long runway ahead of him. And I'm just going to assume that for your sake that he uses that wisely. However, I would like to ask you one more question. If we had a crystal ball right now, if I was able to yank out my crystal ball right now and show you that in 10 years from now, you will still be driving the exact same car that you're driving now, exact same neighborhood you're in now, married to the exact same man you're married to now. Only now you got a couple of kids, but you know what? I won't even put that on you. I'll take the kids out of the equation. 10 years from now, you're just basically you are still with this man. He's never cheated on you, never beat it on you, never stole money from you. He's never done anything like that. You're still married to him. Everything else is the same as it's been for the last 4 months now. And it stays that way. Everything just maintains. 10 years from now, that's what it is. Would you still consider yourself to be happily married then?
I wouldn't necessarily say that because I would be stagnant. So no, you're not supposed to start and end in the same exact place. So no.
So in other words, the wedding ring isn't enough.
I see where you're coming from.
Now, here's the next question I want to ask you. You'll be 37 years old by then. What do you expect to be driving in 10 years from now?
So I have my fingers crossed, and I think it will happen. Honestly, like, I really have my eye on a 91 5.0 Fox body. That is my dream car, and that's something that I want. And I believe that my husband will be able to get me that, but I'm not going to say but that he won't be able to. I just know that it's a hot car right now on the market because everyone's kind of, fixing it up, racing it and whatnot. But that's something that I truly do want.
Okay. That's all very nice. And I think I think what you're trying to refer to is a Mustang.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's all great and everything. You've clearly grown up with some folks who know something about cars, so that's cute and everything. But there's a problem with what you're saying, okay? There's a problem with that. Let me find out. Your siblings, how many of them were sisters? How many were brothers?
I have one sibling. It's a girl. She's female.
Okay. Sounds like you were raised in a pretty tomboyish environment.
I could say so, yeah.
Okay. That otherwise has its niceties to it here, but let's just be very, very clear. What makes a woman valuable is what's different from a man, not what's similar to us. And it's good that you can appreciate a Mustang. That's great. That's wonderful and everything. But let me be very, very clear about what I'm about to say next. Mustang does not say feminine. A 1991 5.0 does not say feminine. It doesn't.
I see it.
And as you are getting older, you want to communicate to a man. As you're getting older, you want to communicate to him that you are non-verbally, you want to communicate to him exactly what you are. You don't want it to be something that is left up to ambiguity. You don't want it to be something that you have to guess about. You want it to be something that speaks for itself. And your car, at the age of 37, your car tells us about your life. Because by that point, you've been working for 20 years. Your car will tell us if you stagnated. Your car will tell us. It's one barometer, but yes, it will tell us that. It damn sure will. You're absolutely right. Yes, your car will give us a clue as to whether or not you stagnated. It doesn't mean you have to be driving a Bentley at 37. But if you're driving the same thing at 37 that you were driving at 22, that tells me something.
Yeah.
Now, you as a female who I assume want to be taken seriously on a feminine level, a woman is supposed to be soft, refined. That's seasoned. That's what a woman is supposed to be. She's supposed to be soft, refined, detail-oriented. Let's be very, very clear. Cars like Bentley and Rolls-Royce and whatnot, that wasn't really made with male sensibilities in mind. That really was made to make sure it was a pleasing environment for females, to be totally honest. And to the folks who can buy one and stuff, we know that's the whole point of it. If the women were like, yuck, don't like this, they would never build another one.
Okay, true.
That's the whole point. If it ever came down to that, they would never buy another one there. So that is what it is. Let's be clear, it is what it is. My apologies for all the background noise and whatnot. I gotta tell you, Miami Beach is, I don't know what they do down here, but in any case. So my apologies. It's okay. My apologies for the background noise. In any case, my real point there is that in 10 years, because what you're talking about is similar to what you've been talking about here before. A 1991 Mustang is not an aspirational car. It doesn't tell me anything about your life. It doesn't tell me anything about where you're going. It's not an aspirational car. And I'm not saying that you can't want it or that you shouldn't want it. You can drive whatever the hell you want to drive. Knock yourself out. But I want you to understand you are communicating to the world and to the man you're with. You're communicating a lot. And you're communicating a lot about yourself. And I'm just going to tell you, the first thing that says to me is my life has actually regressed.
Oh.
The cars are actually getting cheaper. They're getting older. Doug DeMuro made a very good point about why it is you should get a new car and not an old car. He made very good points about it and whatnot, but two things in particular, technology and safety. Ma'am, if you get a 1991 Mustang, there's no Bluetooth. There's no Burmeister sound system. Not even a Harman Kardon. You're getting a relic. You're getting an antique, which is fine. But do you really want to crank up the speakers and it sounds better on your iPods?
No.
So
Mr. Can I ask you a question if you don't mind? I don't want to interject while you're speaking.
Go ahead.
Is that okay? So I'm hearing what you're saying, and this is really valuable information, so I appreciate you sharing that information with me. So by 37, what would you suggest would be showing the feminine so that I can exemplify that to those people who are basically viewing me and experiencing me as the person?
Okay, here's where a lot of you, as if you were raised in two-parent homes, unfortunately, in a lot of these cases, the fathers don't. The mothers are not really very, very feminine to begin with, and the fathers aren't going to give you any of that. So you're raised with a decent man. He's kept you to be a law-abiding citizen, and you're not a slut, and that's great. That's wonderful, because in this day and age, that's so damn rare. That's gold. But there are points of refinement that are missing. So you're supposed to be able to appreciate the difference between cloth seats and leather. You're supposed to be able to appreciate the difference between reclining seats and still seats, between power seats and mechanical, to be able to appreciate if it's got, the full suite of heated, because it used to be those were optional. For as far as I'm concerned, for a vehicle today, it's not optional. It's got to be at least heated and cooled. And you're up north, so the cars you're talking about don't even have heated steering wheels. Now, take it from me. I'm from Louisiana. I have been up in that part of the world several times in winter. And I mean, it's so damn cold when you turn on the windshield. If you try to clean up the windshield, you spray the windshield wiper fluid. In some cases, it'll freeze on the damn windshield. Or it'll freeze on the nozzles and never be able to spray anything. First time that happened to me, I was like, oh, goodness, I got to hit the freeway back south. I can't live like this. But that's what you all live like. So what I'm telling you is that your car doesn't even have those kind of things. It doesn't have heated steering wheels. It doesn't have heated seats. It doesn't have any of that. Hell, and some of the stuff you're talking about has got carburetors. So you got to worry about flooding the engine or warming it up. So what I'm saying is the stuff you're driving are antiques. That doesn't say refined. That doesn't say that you talk about fighting stagnation and you're going backwards. So there's what this tells me is that your father bought a Lexus, but he didn't teach you to appreciate it. And I'm not saying that as a knock or a negative. I'm sure, I don't know what happened, but you would have been well served to learn why it is that Toyota created a luxury division. The other thing is, it's a 2004. Baby, that's ancient. That is ancient. Even the materials, basically it was a gussied up Toyota at that point. No, you want to have at least a 2014, 2015. Go take a look at that and compare. Just do yourself a favor. Go to the Lexus dealership and take a new Lexus for a test drive. You will never talk about that Mustang again.
Okay, I'll try that.
Mark my words, you will never talk about that Mustang again. You will not. Go there. By the way, go there and you have a cell phone. Do you have music on your cell phone?
Yes, I do.
Go there, have the salesman connect the Bluetooth to it, and then play some music on that thing. I want to say Lexus also has Harman Kardon. But you do that. You take that thing for a spin around the block with it playing your music on those speakers. You're not going to think about that Mustang anymore.
Okay, I'm gonna definitely try
The
that.
Mustang is fast and zippy, but one of these actually nurtures your womanhood. And what I'm saying is that your car needs to do that. It certainly helps. I mean, it certainly helps. Can you survive without it? Sure, man, survive for hundreds of thousands of years without heated seats and Corinthian leather. Yeah, but what I am telling you is that as life goes on, baby, life is too short not to explore or to enjoy some of the finer things and whatnot. This isn't even a huge luxury. But to go from your whole life and never know what that's like, everything is cloth seats and carburetors, and not you haven't even experienced the new car smell.
No, just the spray.
Okay, well, and that's what I mean is that, so what we're suffering here is from a lack of culturation. So no wonder you think that the wedding ring and the Bentley are comparable, because you've never actually experienced the other one. Once you experience it, and by the way, I've done that many a time. Once you sit down in one of those things, and I won't even take you to Bentley land. Let's just talk about BMW 7 Series. I'm not even going to take you to Bentley land. I'm not going to take you to Rolls Royce. Let's just talk about BMW 7 Series. I like the 7 Series. The 740i, I like that one a lot. I think that's a good entry-level one for the BMW 7 Series to get into. I think it really, really is. It's got the hand gesture where you spin your finger around and that gesture turns the volume up and down. It's a nice little gimmick. You only use it once or twice. You would never want to live that way, but it's a nice little gimmick to show people it does it. But when you sit in the seats, when you feel the leather, when you smell it, my big thing was about the smell of the leather. It was sweet, it was supple, it was deep. It was a very, very nice thing to it. Hell, you can smell the wood grain in it. And what I'm saying is that this car is a work of craftsmanship. So just like you can appreciate a fine piece of furniture or a fine purse, that's what the car is. And what I'm saying is that says something about your life. Because if you are the same type of person at 37 that you were at 17, you're still interested in the exact same things, the exact same cars, the exact same stuff. At that point, you got to ask yourself, what of life did you learn? What did you experience? And it's not about being a clothes horse or being some fancy pants. Black folk need to get over that mess. This is about knowing what the rest of the world is and having experienced it. So it's one thing for you to have done it and said, it's all right. Mark Zuckerberg can say a Bentley ain't no big deal. He's had Ferraris. But you see, he had the Ferrari first, and now he'll tell you, a Bentley ain't no big deal. A nigga that's never had one can't say that. You can't sit up here and never experienced it and talk about it ain't no big deal. You are just daydreaming. Get there first, and then you can tell me that you're over it. You can't never have experienced it and tell me you're over it. And by the way, I hope that your husband feels the same way. Because I'm going to tell you right now, how tall are you?
5 feet.
Okay. How much do you weigh at 5 feet?
167.
Okay. Do you see a problem?
I could.
Oh boy, here we go.
I'm not going to say that it's not a problem because I'm actively in the gym 4 days a week and I'm building more muscle. So I'm trying to figure out how to balance like leaning down instead of like compacting more muscle on top. So that's what I'm working on.
Okay, you're doing a lot of verbiage right now, but I want you to understand something. You're 27 years old. If you want a man who's going to provide those things, and you will, because understand something, at some point in your life, you're going to get your career together or you're going to get a job together. It doesn't really matter. Somebody is going to give you a ride somewhere, and when that happens in a newer vehicle that's really nice, you're going to see all this totally differently. It's going to happen. Somebody is going to introduce you or expose you to something that you're not used to, and when that happens, you're going to be sprung. I want you to understand that. Or the inverse. If he is able to provide at a level for somebody who, if I may be brutally frank, is a little more svelte than the 5 foot, because at this point here, you're wearing what, a size 14?
No, sir. I wear a size 9.
You're 5 feet tall and 160 pounds.
So all my weight is to the bottom. I don't have like belly or anything like that.
We were getting along so fine. We really were. We were doing so well. I'm gonna leave that one alone, okay? I'm just gonna put everyone. I'm putting that to the side. I'm leaving it alone. What I am going to say here is just understand the woman should match the car. That's what motivates the man, and you're gonna want to have that as you get older. And by older, I'm talking about the next couple of years. You're gonna have, if you have the opportunity to experience that. Let me tell you, where you're at the first time you have a heated leather steering wheel, you're not gonna want to give that up. That's not going to be optional anymore. You're going to want to keep that. Especially if you have kids, you're going to want a car that you don't have to warm up. Or, for example, because it gets bitterly cold up there, it's bitterly cold up there now, you're going to consider it to be very nice to have remote start. So that when you get up in the mornings, you can just hit 2 buttons and start the car remotely and it warms itself up. You're not going to want to, those won't be optional after a little bit. You're going to find out why they're standard on most vehicles now. They're standard because people use them. The technology has come a long way. There's a reason why. What kind of phone are you talking to me on right now?
I have a Sony Xperia 5.
Okay. Why is it you don't have that iPhone 3? That Galaxy Note 2. So my point is, there's a reason why you don't have an ancient cell phone, because there are better options. The newer ones are better ones. That also helps with motivating your husband and yourself. But I want to thank you. This really does explain why you gave the answer that you did. And it really just comes down to, Jason, I haven't seen very much. I haven't been exposed to very much. Do yourself a favor and just go get exposed. I have a big thing that I tell people. I tell you, go to a 5-star hotel. It doesn't matter which one. Just go for the weekend. You might have to save up a little bit of money. Go for the weekend so that you can see what it's like. Go to the Lexus dealership and take one for a spin, for a test drive, so you can see what it's like. And then, now that you got a new perspective, then come back and talk to me about performance and what you consider to be a man performing at a high level. Or yourself performing at a high level. Go do those things and then come back and talk to me about that. I think you're going to see it all radically differently.
Okay.
What I want you to do is I want you to give me a call back in 60 days. Matter of fact, you're one of my patrons. I want you to email me. I want you to go do that. You're 27. You need to have done all this already. I want you to go do that.
Okay. Should I email you when it's
same email address? Same email address.
Okay.
And let's get you cultured up, and then we'll talk about your experiences and we'll see if you still feel the same way about that. And if you need some recommendations for some of those hotels up there, I can give you some. But
I'd appreciate that.
Okay,
Thank you.
What she's saying, she needs all the game. Okay, I can help you out with that. That's not a problem either. But do that, and then we'll see if you still feel the same way then.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Black. I appreciate your insight.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I look forward to speaking to you here. Like I say, okay, that explains that. So this is just a matter of, she just don't know. She just doesn't know. So with that being the case, she doesn't know. She didn't learn. She wasn't told. Well, I think it's the same thing. And it is not the same thing. Not the same thing at all. And amazing, the females didn't correct her either. They didn't correct her. They didn't stop her. They didn't anything. Think about that for a few moments. They would bust you in the damn head to jump in the car with that fella, and the females didn't say anything at all. That tells you a lot about them, doesn't it? When I say they like to see each other fail, that was what I meant. That tells you a lot. Let's see if I can go ahead and get my next caller up here. Is this Jasmine?
Yes.
First of all, I'm going to say this publicly. You and I got beef. So I'm going to try to deal with this as civilly as I can. This will be a difficult call for me because I got to keep the snide remarks and the smart ass comments to a minimum. So this will be rough, everybody. This will be rough. But me and Jasmine got beef, which we will not discuss right now. But in any case, Jasmine, so you wanted the ring also?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, what qualifies you for a ring? Never mind.
Um,
Smart ass comment. Never mind. Smart ass comment. I couldn't help it. I tried to stop myself. All right. All right. Smart ass comment. Exhausted. All right. Can't do that again. Jasmine, how old are you?
I'm 28.
Jasmine, you are 28 damn years old. Now, why in the hell are you talking crazy like this? Why? What in the world makes you think that a wedding ring is of more significance than $300,000 of investment? Why would you think that?
Honestly, after listening to you, the first half of the broadcast, and then also to the previous caller, I do have a slightly different perspective. So there's that. I don't think that the ring itself, and I know you said it's symbolic, but I don't think the ring itself has more value than the vehicle itself. So.
Well, I'm talking about more. I'm talking about more emotional investment, because everybody's talking about what the ring symbolizes. I'm telling you, yeah, what does that car symbolize? And I would tell you that whatever you think the ring symbolizes, the car symbolizes the same thing to a much higher degree.
Right. So I definitely see that now. At first, the way the post was worded, I guess, especially if you're reading fast, it kind of looks like, would you rather, I know it said ring, but I think a lot of people equate that to marriage and someone making a commitment.
Yes, that's exactly what I meant. Whatever you consider to be traditional state marriage, yes, that's what the ring represents. So, would you rather have a man offering you traditional state marriage and never a Bentley, which you understood means, well, if he can get a Bentley, that's the level of performance he's at? Or would you prefer that he give you access to his level of financial and social performance, but never a state-sanctioned marriage ring? Which one would you prefer? And you said what you meant. You understood the question, and you said what you meant. Oh, I would rather have the ring because it represents all these great and wonderful things over here. So you said what you meant now.
Yeah, well, after listening to the last caller and the first part of the broadcast, I guess my perspective has shifted a little bit, but there's still a few things that that come to mind whenever I hear those both of those absolutes, like either the ring and when I hear both of those absolutes, I just but so I think my perspective has shifted a little bit though.
All right. First of all, there's something in particular I want to point out here for everyone who's listening. Once again, we're dealing with some young ladies in their late 20s. And what this tells you is that these are answers that were enculturated in them by older people, by experiences or lack thereof. And nobody came along to have, take a look at the conversation I had with the previous young lady. It wasn't that long. Nobody's had this conversation with them in almost 3 decades of living. No one told them this. I had a young lady who just got off of my phone who was bragging about the height of automotive perfection being her Nissan Sentra. Think about that for a few moments. The height of automotive perfection being her Nissan Sentra circa 2012. And what I'm saying is that when a man hears you say that, just understand you are setting the bar for his burden of performance. So you told him you can get me a ring and a 2004 Nissan and I'm straight. Which is perfectly fine if you are completely ignorant of everything else out there. But as soon as one of your girlfriends rolls up in her Mercedes E-Class, you're going to be seeing everything you've been living at totally differently, and then you're going to be resentful of him. Even if he's equally as ignorant, you're going to be resentful of him immediately. Because that's the reality of it. So right now, you're giving these answers because you don't know better. But if you actually knew better and actually experienced better, it would be a different matter. And this is how you all get old. I want you to understand with your mothers and grandmothers and whatnot, this is how they get old and bitter. They get old and bitter either because by the time they realize what they really wanted or were honest about what they really wanted, it's too late. They're no longer eligible. That's the real issue. By the time they realize it's too late and they're no longer eligible. Or the guy that they're with does it for somebody else. And that's something to think about. The real problem for black women is they keep starting at zero. They keep starting and restarting at zero. And the problem is you need to make it 10 steps. Well, when you're in your early 20s, you can start from zero, but you still have a good chance of making it all 10 steps. By the time you get into your late 20s, if you're starting from zero, you might make 5 or 6. You get over the age of 30, you'll be lucky if you make it 5. You're probably going to make it 3. It gets harder. And every time you keep doing that, it gets worse. So what I'm saying is if you cannot properly gauge what it is that shows that a man is committed to you, and let's be very, very clear, commitment to you should be firmly defined as upgrading your life. Now, if you are afraid to say those words, if you are scared to say those words, if you are worried about saying that, and if you refuse to prioritize getting a man who has the competence and discipline to be able to deliver that, you're going to have a lifetime of struggle. And all the TikTok videos and Oprah Winfrey reruns and OWN Network and all the girlfriends in the world will not make that better. When you go crashing over middle age and your knees start buckling on you and whatnot, start giving you problems, and the blood pressure sets in and things, you're going to be ready to start settling down, baby. Let's be very, very clear. To the women listening to me right now, you all know the damn truth, which is why it's criminal when you all don't tell these young people the truth. When y'all get into your late 30s, y'all are ready to retire then. There is not a single woman listening to me right now who wants to be putting in a 60-hour work week at 40. Not a single one. That is all that is like putting coffee beans in a grinder. That's your soul coming out the other end. There isn't a single female listening to me right now who wants to be 45 years old. Hell, forget pulling a 60-hour work week. You don't want to be 45 pulling a 30-hour work week. The truth is you all would rather be sitting down. You'd rather be sitting down. But there are rules even to that. There are rules even to that. And if you will not be honest and nobody else will be honest with you about what you will need and what it will require to get that, then guess what? You don't get there. Which is why I did tonight's program, because I also wanted to let you know, by the way, if you haven't already gotten started, it's going to be hella hard here. That wedding ring is not, understand something, 80% of divorces are filed by females and the majority of divorces are filed over financial issues. What does that tell you? The wedding ring obviously ain't enough. Despite what the females say repeatedly, obviously that ring isn't enough. Let me find out here. Is your mom married?
She's not.
Was she ever married?
No.
Would you like to do better?
Definitely, yes.
What to you, let me find out, why do you think you want to get married, Jasmine? Why?
I do want children one day. I want to get married for protection, financial and otherwise. I don't want to grow old and alone. So I want that commitment. I want someone there.
Now, here's the thing.
We both get older.
When you talk about having children, let's be very, very clear. What's the point of having children if you're struggling? See, we all forget about good times in the ghetto and, Nickerson Gardens and Cabrini Green. But the bottom line is, baby, if you're going to get married, what's the point of getting married? And I want to have children. What's the point of having children if you're struggling?
Right. I think that's one of the things that I was kind of
a question I had about the post too. It seemed like it was like either like broke or Bentley status. There was no in between. I mean, just based off of the average income that people make, I don't think that in my lifetime, I don't think that I'll be able to ever own a car that costs $300,000. But I'm perfectly content with a $60,000 car, or a $40,000 car. And I think that.
And I want you to understand something off of what you just said. Fellas are going to be getting the draws off of you on the cheap for the rest of your life. I'm not even going to be nice about this. I'm going to be brutally frank. Fellas are going to be getting the draws off of you cheap for the rest of your life because you don't know what your value is. And because you don't know what your value is, you don't know what to set your price at. Like the previous young lady who just called me, we got a lack of financial exposure. Forget education, exposure. She thought $70,000 is performing at a high level. $70,000 is just a little bit over the national median income. And you're saying, oh, well, I don't think I'll ever afford a $100,000 car. I'll be okay with a $40,000 car. Baby, there's used $40,000 cars out there right now. What I'm telling you is you set the bar very, very low. A female, especially in her 20s, cannot afford to set bars low. Now, that doesn't mean that you sit up here and say something stupid, but you should know what your value is, and your value should dictate your price. What I'm hearing is a lack of exposure. $40,000. What kind of fella do you think you're going to have if you are satisfied with $40,000? I'm just asking you.
Well, I'm in a vehicle that costs that. I mean, I'd prefer maybe making more than that a year, but if my car costs $40,000, I'd be fine. I think anyway, I'd be fine. I mean, if I could choose between that and a Bentley, of course I would choose that.
Okay, but do you realize you did not answer the question I just asked you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I want you to understand that. She got shook real quick because she heard it and then she went running from it. That's your first clue you're on the wrong side of things. What kind of man do you think you're going to have with your ceiling being a $40,000 car?
I don't know. Maybe an average earner. I don't know.
Okay. And do you know what I define as average?
No, I don't.
Okay. This is why me and Jasmine beef all the time. Remember, I say that average is struggling. The reason why women don't want to be with the average guy is because you understand that the average guy is struggling. If he's struggling, then you will be struggling with him. That is what your experience with him would be like. He's struggling and you're going to be struggling too. And that is the reason that most women get divorced from the fella, because if they're struggling, eventually she's going to try to break out and be like, okay, I think I can do better. And that usually doesn't happen, by the way. That actually usually doesn't happen. The number one cause of poverty for females is divorce. So, you got that. But what you're asking for, you wouldn't even want. If I stuck you with the average guy, you wouldn't want that. $40,000 car, man. What kind of car do you think you would have at $40,000?
I was actually just looking at this this Volvo EV. I think that one costs like $50,000 though.
Okay,
but
you're looking at a Volvo EV.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're looking at an electric vehicle, ma'am. $40,000 is something like a BMW 3 Series. We're not even talking about an SUV or a pickup truck or something like that. We're not even talking about an SUV really, unless you're talking about, something lame like a Honda or something. An Equinox. But ma'am, $40,000. I mean, that's you're talking about something nice. That'd be a BMW 3 Series, not a 5, not a 7, just the 3. I want you to understand that. Do you realize how easily a fellow with a $50,000 car would have you believing that you've been upgraded? Now, I want you to understand that. The bar was set very, very low. So that's why I can understand why you would say, hey, give me the ring. Because you don't know what the price is. And you don't know what the value is. And that's what really explains why this is happening. And this is a formula for a lifetime of poverty and struggling. It is because, let me find out here, what city are you in, Jasmine?
I'm in Raleigh.
Okay. Raleigh is blowing the hell up. Raleigh, Charlotte. Think about that for a few moments. What kind of life are you going to have in Raleigh making $60,000 a year?
I definitely want to make more.
Okay. If your aspirational car is $40,000, I just want you to understand you'll get there a lot quicker than you will, and you'll be telling yourself you're doing great, and then you'll be telling yourself the guy's doing great until you get in the presence of somebody who's doing better than that and realize, oh hell, there's levels to this stuff, and then all of a sudden you're not going to be a good wife anymore.
Right.
So I think this is a good opportunity right here. You know, for all these females online talking to these chicks about the ring is more important than the car and whatnot, and just understand something, baby. If a man sits up here and makes that type of commitment to you, and even if it's not anything like that, let's just say it was that you get the Jordan Woods treatment, okay? Let's just say you get the Jordan Woods treatment and dude goes off and gets you a Porsche Taycan or something like that, a Porsche Taycan 911, whatever. So, you know, $150,000. Think about that for a few moments. No, I would rather I want to have the ring. I don't want to have the actual performance and the product of it in my hands. I want to have the ring. This is what, you all remember, I started the program talking about these young females get messed up by the older females. None of the older females have come and told them this. You know why? Because they're going to tell you, oh, you don't want to be a gold digger or anything like that. They say that like that's nice. What they're really saying is they don't want you to be their competition. They don't. Older women used to game up younger women. The older women don't do that anymore. The older women don't game up the younger women anymore. The older women leave y'all hanging. They've been there and done that. They've gotten all that stuff. You see, but by the time she got her Lexus, she was 60-something damn years old and wasn't no man fooling with her because she was so freaking ridiculous to deal with when she was your age that all the men are burnt on her now and nobody wants to do anything for her. So she's just going to spend her life struggling and then trying to keep a stiff upper lip while she gets crushed into powder by a relentless job environment. Spends the rest of her life going back to school and chasing degrees and phantoms and pretending that this will correct it and whatnot, and it never does. Because the real issue is you need a partner. But if you are too much of a damn disciplinary problem, you're too hard-headed, you're too stubborn, and you won't change, then there's where you end up at. And these old women don't tell you all how they screwed off their opportunity to have their producer and then tell you don't do that. They just leave y'all out here stupid and don't know anything. And that's what I hear here. From you and the previous caller, I hear young women who should have been told something different by now, but these old females are sitting there, I want me a ring. You go back and read through those comments, Jasmine. They weren't just saying they wanted a ring. You read what they said. Oh, I want the ring because of the productivity will be a given. Take a look at what they're saying. I meant what I said. Would you rather have a man who gives you his undying commitment, which is what that ring symbolizes? You will have his undying commitment and affection. Would you rather have that, or would you have rather have his committed productivity? And if you assume that the ring represents productivity, you better ask the 80% of females who file for divorce. If that's true. If there's something you're not going to be depending upon his affection for the rest of your life. You're going to be depending on his productivity. His affection is not going to raise your status. Buying you roses and flowers is not going to raise your status. His ability to upgrade you is what does that. His ability to upgrade you does definitely. That. So, if nobody explained it to you before now here, I'm glad you gave us a call about that so we can go ahead and clear that up.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jason. I do.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here. We'll give you a chance to go ahead and stew on that. Whole lot to learn. Whole lot to learn. So now you see what happened here. These young females find themselves completely gameless, and these old hoes didn't tell them anything. They didn't tell them anything at all. Because they like to see them fail. Let's just be very, very clear. These older chicks out here, I'm talking about you girls and your females in your 30s and 40s and whatnot, you know full damn well you screwed it up, you messed up, you didn't play the cards correctly, you were hard-headed, you were a disciplinary problem, and when you finish screwing off everything, you take a look at the younger chicks and you start telling them about all the things. He should have did this and he should have done that. Just get the ring. That's what knowing full well you're lying. There's not a single one of you who would sit here and accept that. Not a single one. Not a single one of you would be okay with that. Not a single one of you would accept it. Not even one. But you're going to tell these young females that you would. And then they hear you and they join the sisterhood of failure, which is exactly what you wanted. Somebody told you the truth tonight. Ladies, you know what's better than a wedding ring? A key fob. That is a bigger gesture of his commitment to you than a wedding ring is now. Yes, I meant what I said. I meant what I said. That is a bigger gesture of his commitment to you than that wedding ring will be. It costs more, it has a longer time to pay for it, and it requires more preparation and commitment. It requires more commitment to get you that key fob than it did to get you that ring. And yet the females who were posting up today didn't understand that. It takes more preparation and more commitment. He's got to make more of a deliberate decision to do that than to get you that ring. And if you want to know why it is they are in these unfulfilled relationships now you know why. Because what they were telling themselves is that the ring will lock a man down. No, that won't. I can't believe you all would be in your 30s and 40s and this damn silly. The ring shows that he's into me. The ring shows that he wants to claim me. No, that's what the hell you really meant by that. The ring shows he wants to claim me. No, ma'am, a key fob shows he wants to claim you. When he's on the hook to a damn bank, and the bank is like, we don't care what happens to your relationship. You're still responsible for this machine no matter what. Yeah, that shows he wants to claim you when he takes a risk that big. And got older females completely misinforming the younger ones. Completely misinforming them. Some dumbass talking about full coverage health insurance. You can get Obamacare. What are you going to do in the meantime here? Everything's not about you being sick all the damn time. When you get out the hospital, what kind of life you going to be living? I don't know. Maybe you want that 2012 Nissan Sentra too. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's you. Maybe that is. I don't know. Ladies, tell these folks the truth. Stop lying to them. Everybody, let's just be totally honest about what it is we want, what we came here for. Let's just be totally honest. Put your damn cards on the table. Stop talking around it. Start admitting that this is the life you want to have. Start admitting that you want to go somewhere. Don't sit up here and wait till the last damn minute and think somebody's going to sit up here and scramble to give you what you want. Start from the very gate and say what it is that needs to be done. It'll go a lot easier, a lot quicker. But this is the way it is now. This is the way it is. Welcome to the new wedding ring. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here now. I want to thank every one of you for joining us here tonight. I think it's been an educational program, so you can see what people are saying here. And definitely to the ladies listening here tonight, come off that bull jive. Stop the lying. You're not fooling anybody. You're not virtue signaling. You're not raising your value through deceit. All you're doing is causing confusion. This concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.